Welcome back, everybody, to the KC Sports Report. I'm your host, Michael Darcy, and today I have the great pleasure to be joined by my friends Caden Sproul and Kyle Collier, both fellow producers at Sports Radio 810 WHB. And in this video, we're going to talk all about the Chiefs' running game. They did struggle a lot in Brazil against the Chargers, and I think that the Chiefs' inability to run the football might have led to some of the offensive struggles. But I want to first read the rushing totals from this game because, if you watched a lot of football last season and how the Chiefs' offense functioned, you wouldn't be surprised to hear that Patrick Mahomes was the leading rusher in this game. He had 6 attempts for 57 yards, and he had that 1 touchdown when he was scrambling, followed by Isaiah Pacheco, who had 5 carries for 25 yards. Kareem Hunt had 5 for 16, and Xavier Worthy had 1 touch for no yards before he exited the game with that shoulder injury. But guys, I want to ask your thoughts on the running game because I think that what we saw very early on is the Chiefs weren't able to get any push up front, and it kind of led to a collapse of the running game and just outright abandoning it. So I want to get your thoughts, and we'll go ahead and start with Caden.
Yeah, I think personally there's been a lot more pressure on Pacheco in the last, 24 hours or I guess this weekend we played Friday. I think there's been a lot more scrutiny and, criticism on him than he is deserving of. When you only, like you said, he had 5 attempts, man. The Chiefs personally, as a whole, 10 rushing attempts as a team is not going to cut it. Obviously we know Andy has always been more of a pass-first guy. But whenever you get 5 attempts, there's no way for you to really ever get into a true rhythm, I feel. And like you said, there was a lack of a push up front, it seemed like. I think at some point we have to start, questioning, is this offensive line just not really fit for the run game? We spend so much time talking about, are they going to be able to protect Pat, and I think that they lack that focus sometime of focusing on the run game itself. So I think that it'll be better as the season goes on. I don't think that this is what you're going to have all year, but I don't think that Isaiah Pacheco specifically is as deserving of the criticism that he's received, this weekend or so.
Yeah, and that criticism, I know what you mean. You can see it all over social media. That there's one glaring play where, the Chiefs are threatening to score. They're in the red zone or approaching the red zone, I think. And Josh Simmons is kind of leading the charge along the left boundary. And Pacheco, he does make a mistake and kind of cuts it inside when he kind of had free grass on the outside. And Josh Simmons, with just nobody in front of him. He cuts back inside, gets tackled when he had a chance to score. But yeah, Isaiah Pacheco, I don't really think he's the problem. The problem, I think it clearly was Xavier Worthy going out and the Chiefs just kind of having to throw the game plan out. And they just reverted back to this 2024 style of offense. It was very dink and dunk. There was no explosion. I know Mahomes missed Tyquan Thornton a couple times downfield. But if you abandon that running game, the defense they could just leave their safeties back, making the explosive play impossible. So I don't understand. I really don't understand the game plan at all. I know it's tough when your top 2 receivers are out and one gets injured on the third play of the game, but you only gave Pacheco 5 carries. The Chargers had no reason to be scared of not stacking the box or anything because, number one, Caden, you mentioned they couldn't push, so did you, Darcy, and number 2, the explosion was just non-existent. I agree it's not all on Isaiah Pacheco. It's mainly on Matt Nagy and Andy Reid, the offensive play callers. Either stick with it, or if you're not going to do it, if you're not going to run the ball, then I feel like you were just not drawing up a game plan that gives you the best chance to win.
I think the thing that just makes no sense, and you mentioned it, when Xavier Worthy got hurt, the offense had to basically revert to what they were all of last year. They had to dumb it down. They had to go back to, quite frankly, what they know. But you'd think in an instance where you have to scrap your offensive game plan, you'd say, you know what? Let's run the ball to make this easier for our quarterback. And they just didn't do it. In fact, Xavier Worthy going out almost made them throw the ball more. And Caden, you mentioned it. If you're going to give Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt combined 10 total carries, don't even give it to him at that point. Like what's the point? And you saw the Chiefs get creative on, fourth down. Kareem Hunt had a big-time catch out of the backfield and was able to get that fourth down conversion. But the Chiefs didn't really run the ball effectively at all. And I worry because when I watch other teams like the Eagles and the Ravens that have these dynamic running backs, even Buffalo with James Cook, like I look at those guys and I'm like, wow, these players help their offense by alleviating pressure off of their talented quarterbacks. Derrick Henry might be the best back in football. What he did on Sunday night, like I was just in awe. And it's just like, it would be so nice to have someone like that for this offense. But the Chiefs don't have that. And so you've got Isaiah Pacheco and you've got Kareem Hunt. I think we'd all agree that they're not bad backs. They're not great. But what do we truly have in them? We don't really know because the Chiefs don't utilize them properly.
Yeah, you made a good. Just the list goes on of all the different diverse running backs in the NFL. There's so many good running backs in the league, and it sucks to say, but I'd say the Chiefs' core running backs are somewhere near the bottom of the league. If you look at the running back core as a whole, we're somewhere down there at the bottom, which is very frustrating for an offense that's been tops of the league. I mean, last year we were middle of the pack, but the expectations, at least for this offense, are to be at the tops of the league, and it just hasn't been there. The run game hasn't been there. I think talking about the O-line a little bit, I mean, we talked about it before the show, but it's frustrating at this point because, like we said, Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith at this point are the top paid, center and guard in the league, So for them to not be run blockers, that's not really that can't be a thing. You know what I mean? Like they have to be able to provide, blocking in the run and pass game. And we're not even really giving them the opportunity to show if that's what they can do at this point, if we're not giving those backs those opportunities as well. So I think they're going to have to lean on the run game, especially with, now that Worthy's out and obviously Rasheed's already out. It's going to be something they have to figure out over the next couple of weeks for sure.
Yeah, and the tough thing is next week you got Philly, and they have a disgusting defensive line. It's only going to get harder from here on out. So I feel like if you are not able to mix it up offensively with both the run and the pass, then you're just making yourself a one-dimensional offense, still with a lack of explosion like we saw last year. And you're just going to make it easier for other teams. Now, I'll ask you guys this, like before the draft, how loud was the Chiefs fans, on social media just screaming about go draft a running back in the third round, fourth round, something like that. This RB class, this draft class was deep as hell. There were so many talented dudes you could have gone out and got. This is no dunk on Isaiah Pacheco, but he was a seventh rounder for a reason. He really doesn't provide any explosion. We love his toughness. I know that. He's a great locker room dude, and he's a good running back, but he doesn't have that home run hitting ability. I don't understand why this position wasn't addressed really in the offseason. You got Brashard Smith, okay, seventh rounder, who, by the way, wears number 24. He needs to change that because that's
Cursed
terrible
number.
Yeah, it's cursed, and I think it just looks silly. But Brashard Smith is what 5'8", 5'9", 160 pounds or something like that. He's a gadget guy right now at this point in his career. And yeah, you really just don't have that thumper or that there's no thunder and lightning to this Chiefs backfield. It's really just thunder, and there's no lightning, right? So if you're not going to give it to them, you can't expect them to do anything with only 5 carries. And it doesn't make any sense to me why the position was really not addressed in the offseason. I think it is something you can address in season. As we saw, Tank Bigsby just got traded over to Philly. Philly has a great running back, and they're still adding to that room.
They got two
So,
good backs.
yeah, exactly, and they're still adding. So I don't understand it. The run game has to get more involved, no matter what, because if it doesn't, then you're just going to see more of the same from the 2025 Chiefs, and that is just frankly, a boring offense to watch, a dink and dunk type of thing, and that's just a disservice to your quarterback. He's so damn talented. If you're not mixing it up, if you're not keeping defenses off balance, then you're wasting Patrick Mahomes.
Well, let me ask you guys this. You don't have to give a super long answer. What, in your opinion, was the best season of Chiefs offense?
I'd say maybe the first Super Bowl. First Super
I'll
Bowl
tell you.
season, maybe.
I'll tell you what mine is. It's the year after they traded Tyreek Hill. I think statistically that was the most efficient that they were. Patrick Mahomes. I think the Chiefs led the league in like explosive plays that year somehow, and that was an offense with Juju Smith. Juju Smith-Schuster was one of the main focal points, and obviously you had a really healthy Travis Kelce. So yeah, it's that first Super Bowl against the Eagles directly after the Tyreek Hill trade.
Okay, so you both didn't go the direction I thought you were going to go. I was going to say 2018. I think 2018 Chiefs
Okay,
offense
yeah.
with a prime Kareem Hunt is the best offense that we've seen this Chiefs team have. And I think with the correlation that I was trying to make, when you have an explosive running back, I'm talking the best of the best, your offense gets taken to a different level. That was the year that Patrick Mahomes threw for 50 and 5,000 yards. I think that Kareem Hunt being in the prime of his career had a lot to do with that. And so that's kind of a long-winded way of saying I think that having a running game that is explosive, a running game that is dynamic, it changes the way your offense can function. And, you mentioned Isaiah Pacheco, you mentioned Brashard Smith, both seventh-round draft picks. That's fine. That's great. It's awesome the Chiefs found value in the 7th round. I think this is a situation where you get out what you put in, and you kind of see the Chiefs drafted these guys in the 7th round. These are day 3 throwaway picks. The Chiefs got good players. They have not made a significant investment in that position since CEH. Now, I think they got a little bit scarred with how that went, but I think you just have to keep taking shots because, I don't think Isaiah Pacheco is going to be here after this year. I don't think Kareem Hunt is going to be back when he's 33, 34 years old. I think you're going to have to spend some money or spend a high draft pick on a running back because what we've seen over the past couple years, I don't think that's good enough. And to Caden's point, if you were to rank our running back room right now, we're probably not above 25.
Yeah, and we're kind of in the midst of like a mini transition for NFL offenses. Baltimore goes and pays Derrick Henry. Philly goes and extends Saquon Barkley. And defenses have just been adapting this too high safety look, to combat all the speed at wide receiver that NFL teams love now. The running back, I feel like, is making a comeback in the league. Now, not all of them are getting paid, like they should be. But, and I just go back to the opportunity that Brett Veach and company had to upgrade through the draft. I think something has to be done about it this year. I think you have to either address that. If there's a free agent you like, go for it. I think you might have to spend, let's say, a 4th-round pick, a 5th-round pick. Go get somebody with some talent, and try to fix that. Try to really just kind of fix the efficiency problem you have on offense right now. Maybe we're not talking about this if Xavier Worthy doesn't get hurt, but the running back room was one of my top concerns coming into the season, and it's gone from a 7 out of 10 to probably a 9 out of 10 now.
I think that we were all concerned about that position going into this season because we saw the amount of resources or lack thereof that Brett Veach and the front office put into the position. And they've gotten away with it because Patrick Mahomes is so great. But, Derrick Henry and James Cook and Saquon Barkley, those guys are weapons for their team. And it's a big reason why the passing game is so dynamic. And I want to talk more about this because listen, right now the Chiefs are kind of stuck with what they have. And so can they improve? We'll talk about it after the break. This video is sponsored by my wonderful friends over at DM Injury Law. Injured in an accident? You could be entitled to significant compensation, but time is critical. Rely on the experienced personal injury attorneys at DM Law, Kansas City and Missouri's top injury law firm. DM Law is a full-service personal injury practice supported by a large team of investigators, case managers, medical records specialists, and more. And best of all, you don't pay unless they win. DM Law operates on a contingency fee basis, so no fees unless they win your case. And they also provide free consultations. So if you've been injured, don't wait. You can contact DM Law today for a free consultation and learn how they can help you pursue the compensation you deserve. Let them handle the fight while you focus on healing. Hurt in a car wreck? Call Mike. Remember, Mike's got this. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisement. Thanks to DM Injury Law for sponsoring this video. The Hollywood Casino at Kansas Speedway is the place to be. With over 1,500 slot machines, 35 table games, 4 restaurants, and a new ESPN Bet sportsbook, there are plenty of ways to find your fun. For more chances to win, follow them on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Huge thanks to the sponsors that have supported this channel during the season. Now, I want to ask you guys, because I kind of mentioned it before the break, the Chiefs are probably set at running back right now. They're not going to make any move or drastic move until the offseason. And so with a running game that is never going to probably be the focal point of the offense, what is your confidence level at that maybe they get better on the ground and can supplement the passing game with a balanced rushing attack? And we'll start with Caden.
I do. I have confidence that the rushing game will be a little bit better if as we talked about, the game plan was kind of threw out the window early on, and losing Xavier and then starting behind, it kind of just threw a whole wrench, especially in a week 1 game plan. You probably have a mindset of what you want to do coming into that game, and it just went out the window that early. I do think that it's gonna be better moving forward. I'm not sure how exactly they, like you said, in season they're not going to make a whole lot of moves. I think a good. We've seen Andy Reid do it in the past, but I think what he'll do is you try to use the quick game, use those quick screens, those RPOs, kind of use that as an extension of the run. Kind of make that almost a run game itself, and then probably try to get Pacheco and Kareem more involved through the passing game, maybe some slip screens, a couple dump downs out of the backfield, just to kind of get those guys going. But yeah, I think that'll be the way that, they kind of supplement the run game.
Yeah, and Caden, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say Andy Reid bring back the screen game. I feel like that was his bread and butter for years. And I feel like this year, in week 1 at least, and then last year, it was just nowhere to be found. Is that because maybe you don't have the talent back there that you think can really operate a halfback screen, something like that? Maybe we'll see. An offense like this, it kind of makes me miss Jerick McKinnon and your guy Damian Williams. They were great at that. Andy Reid was able to use those guys, like you said, as an extension in the run game, and just either as safety valves or a design to pass play. Those guys were effective, and maybe Kareem Hunt and maybe Isaiah Pacheco just aren't that this year, and maybe they just don't have those skills, and so Andy Reid doesn't trust them in the screen game. I don't know what it is, but the simple answer is volume. Number one, you need to give them more touches, whether that is a handoff or it's a screen. And then, it's volume for your offensive line too. Because if they're only blocking for the run 5 times a game, how are they going to get better at it? Let those guys know, hey, we're going to hand the ball off 15 to 20 times this game. All right. Get ready for it. Get ready to push, right? The offensive line has got to work on it too. It's not just the running backs themselves. So I think just more handoffs, more volume, more activity with the running backs is just going to help the offense in general.
I think those are both fantastic points, because how can you expect the running backs to get better if you're not giving them enough reps? And the same with the offensive line. So I think that, that's a good point to end this video on. Actually, one final thing. I don't think the Chiefs have had a 1,000-yard rusher since Kareem Hunt in 2017. So I don't think that Patrick Mahomes has ever had an 1,000-yard rusher. And maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. So, I mean, just speaking towards the level of, like, give Mahomes a running back that can go out and eat yards on the ground, this offense is going to look way different. But again, guys, I think that is all the time we have in this video. My final question for both of you is, where can the people find your stuff? And we'll start with Caden.
You can find me on Twitter at Real Caden, or you can find me on Sports Radio 810 WHB in the evenings with Michael.
Follow me on Twitter at Kyle Collier _810, or listen to me at Sports Radio 810, 2 to 6. I produce the program with Seren Petro.
And guys, all that stuff will be available in the description below. Hit that like button, subscribe for more daily Chiefs content. Until next time, guys, thank you for watching this video. And as always, go Chiefs.